Hi, I'm Gia, and in this episode, I want to share with you the 4 core techniques we use in NEDS, the neuro-entity dynamic system. These techniques aren't tricks or hacks. They're doorways into a new way of relating to the parts of you that act, feel, react without asking your permission. So, let's begin. The first technique is called NED Identify. It's where the whole process begins. We all have moments where something inside us takes over. You're about to make a decision, have an important conversation, take a step forward, and suddenly you freeze, or overthink, or lash out, or shut down. In NEDS, we don't call that self-sabotage. We call it an entity reaction. NED Identify is the art of catching that moment. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you pause and ask, "Who just showed up inside me?" You begin to recognize neuro-entities, not just as thoughts, but as inner agents. They have their own pattern. They come with specific emotional tones, body sensations, beliefs, reflexes. This technique is about building that recognition reflex. So when something hijacks your behavior, you don't collapse into it. You notice. You name it. You mark the moment. That's where all real change begins. Once you've identified the neuro-identity, the next step is NED Shift. And this one is subtle but incredibly powerful. It's about separating from the entity. In most cases, when a neuro-entity shows up, we fuse with it. Its fear becomes our fear. Its shame becomes our identity. NED's shift breaks that fusion. Through physical posture, breath, guided awareness, you learn how to step out of the entity's field. Sometimes, this looks like literally moving your body, changing perspective, using a gesture or anchor. Sometimes, it's as simple as saying, "This is not me, it's a part of me." NED Shift reclaims agency. It creates inner space. And in that space, we can finally see clearly. Next comes NED Release. This is the phase where we work with the emotional energy the entity is carrying. You see, most neuro-identities are not just ideas, they're containers of unresolved pain. Old fear, frozen anger, grief, unspoken needs. And once you've identified and separated from the entity, you're finally able to help it release what it's been holding. This isn't about catharsis or emotional outbursts. It's about conscious release through breath, sound, movement, somatic discharge. Sometimes it looks like trembling, sometimes crying, sometimes just a deep exhale after years of holding. NED Release is sacred because it honors the fact that these inner parts have been carrying something for a very long time, and now they're finally being seen. And finally, we come to NEDS Transform. This is not about changing the part. It's about helping it evolve. Once the entity has been identified, unfused from, and emotionally cleared, you can begin to explore its role, its logic, why it developed, what it was trying to do for you. And here, something beautiful happens. You can offer it a new job. You can renegotiate the contract. You can literally co-create a new dynamic, one that's not based on fear or defense, but on alignment. Sometimes, this means transforming a controlling part into a boundary keeper, or a self-critical voice into a protector of truth, or a sabotaging part into a loyal inner advisor. NED's Transform brings closure to the cycle, but more importantly, it brings integration. Because in NEDS, we don't exile parts. We listen, liberate, and invite them into a new dance. So, to recap, the 4 core NEDS techniques are NED Identify, recognize the inner agent; NEDS Shift, create distance and perspective; NED Release, allow emotional energy to move; and NEDS Transform, reshape the dynamic into integration. These aren't linear steps. Sometimes you'll move back and forth. Sometimes just doing one of them is enough. But together, they form a process that's deeply respectful and deeply effective. Because real change doesn't start with force. It starts with presence. Thanks for being here. If you want to go deeper, you know where to find us. NeuroEntityDynamics.com.